coming in at 332 grams or 11.7 ounces. This blade truly is a panty dropper. Literally and figuratively. It has a 4mm blade stock, 3/16 of an inch, not quarter inch, and 3/16 scales. Full stainless steel construction. I assume it is some kind of Chinese ATR 13 MOV compound steel, something like that. This is of course a Medford knife and tool Praetorian. Clone! This is not the real thing. Who would have thought? So if you do know knives, you know they don't make them in black wash like this one. What a beast of a knife. Actually, one thing I do like better on this one than on the originals is that the cutout on the pocket clip, this knife cutout, has the same direction of the knife when it's opened. On the real Medford, from what I have seen, this one is just reversed. So when you have it like that, the knife is facing this way. The blade, I mean, facing this way. It has very, very wide jimping on top. Continues on the blade. Can almost get my thumb in there. Very nice. The fuller acts as a nail nick, and yeah, you can use it with your whole finger, not your nail. And it has a little bit rougher lines in there. It's a very, very nice black wash. Very nicely done. Black coating and stone wash, if you don't know what that is. It has an amazing, amazing lockup. Very early, around 15 to 20%. Super, super solid. No blade play in any direction. Has two large finger choils for 2 fingers each. And the liner, just like the original, has this cut out here. Oh, and the sun is glaring in. Has this cut out here so you can disengage the liner more easily. Those stop pins here, those black pins, act as stop pins in any direction when you close it and when you open it. They are a little bit sharp on the corners, not overly bad though, and they feel a little bit plasticky, but they are magnetic, so steel as well. Just listen to this. Awesome. One of the downsides, well, one of the only downsides I have noted on this blade is that the standoffs here in the frame, this one and this one, are very skinny. So you might note that the pocket clip is on standoffs as well, and they are a lot thicker. Close out this bad boy. Hope the sun isn't too bad. It's a beautiful day outside. And I'm sitting in here doing knife reviews for you. So you can see those fat standoffs and those in there. They're really skinny, considering. Not sure what that is about. Well, if you know Greg Medford and his blades, you know that he thinks about every detail of his knives. And the balance point of this blade is right here, the front finger choil with the glass breaker. So that is something he actually thinks about. And this has been adapted very well. But this is stainless steel, so weight distribution might be a little bit different than with titanium and a steel blade and whatnot. You can open it one-handed like I showed you just now. I do it with both those fingers actually, with my middle finger and my thumb. Then I use the nubs, but you can also open it, close it two-handed. And this is why it is probably, with a high probability, Germany legal. Two-handed opening, locking knives are legal, and this should fall under this category. So the pivot, not a huge fan of this pivot. Has the same one like my Strider clone. You can see through there. This one is of course blackened. Not a big fan of that. The Strider, although it has two nylon washers, and the Praetorian, just call it Praetorian for the sake of this video, has two Foster bronze bushings on each side, which makes opening and closing it really smooth. There is some friction, but really, really smooth. Really smooth. It is so heavy. Really, my wrist is almost hurting. What else? Well, cut out. We talked about that. Well, one thing is that the hardware is pretty standard. Otherwise, it is blackened Torx heads, and the detent, closing it is a little bit heavier, and when you open it, quite a soft detent actually. You can shake it out when you whip it really hard. And look at this centering. This is a $28.99 knife. Free shipping. The construction on this model is absolutely flawless. And this is how you get it out of box. I actually just got it in bubble wrap. No box. And Zeed, D-S-E-E-D, good friend of mine here on YouTube. He actually has this knife as well. He stripped it after he used it, and he hacked down some trees. He'll upload a video soon. I suggest you definitely check his channel out. Subscribe to him if you want to see this blade in action, or after all the action, how it worked out. And I just couldn't be happier with this knife. I might actually pay 600-700 euros for this, for the G10 model. I'm totally in love with the G10 models. If I had the money though. Oh my god. Really, really sturdy. And what makes this very sturdy as well is that the cutout here of the frame, in the frame, for the frame lock, for the locking side, is not super thin. It is quite thick, which makes this very, very sturdy. And yeah, it might get a little bit rock lock after hard use. I haven't tried it yet, but you can push the frame lock towards the other scale. I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell. The interface, the lock face is polished very nicely. I don't think you can see that. This little dark spot is the only part where the frame engages. This part of the blade here is of course a modified Tanto blade. Is hollow ground, quite sharp, very sharp actually. And this tip is flat, almost convex ground actually. It's very thick. Very thick. You could pry with that. This is a knife you could pry with. It is not super sharp and lean behind the edge, because it, you know, it's meant, it cuts very well, but it's meant to stab into some really nasty materials. It does cut well, not perfectly. There is no considerable and detectable secondary bevel. Very nicely ground, really by master grinders, and hot spots, not really. The only thing that might become an issue, I'm really just saying might, completely depends on the user, is because of this pocket clip, because it is very thin, it might dig into your hand a little bit, into the skin of your palm, if you have it in a real hammer grip. But yeah, that's about the only thing I can say. The corners are nicely rounded. You can see that because of the black wash. Let me get the glare out a bit. So this is the manliest knife I own. Every other knife I have and love, almost every knife, except maybe for my XL Voyager. Every other knife feels a little bit more like a sissy compared to this. You know, it's like you have a really, really pretty girlfriend, but then the Victoria's Secret fashion show starts, and you completely forgot about her sitting next to you in front of the TV. This is how this knife feels. It is heavy, no doubt, but this is the sturdiest knife I own. And I do trust this knife. Even though it might not be D2 steel like the original, not hand-fitted parts for $1,200, $1,500, no fancy finishes, just black coating, throw it in the tumbler, comes out like this, but I think this is very pretty. I do think this is very pretty. The glass breaker should work. I haven't tried it. I'm not really hot to try it, unless I find, you know, an abandoned car somewhere in a field. Just an awesome, awesome knife for $29. Thank you very much for watching. This blade is highly recommended. If you don't have $1,500 to spend on a folding knife and just want to see what all the fuzz is about, this is a great blade. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good night. Valar Morgulis.